Hi everyone, this is Richard Lomax and welcome along to the latest edition of the Slipstream Marketing Podcast. Today I'm talking to Sean Buck and we're going to be exploring all about retention and referrals and relationship marketing. So let me tell you a little bit about Sean before I introduce him. Sean is a serial entrepreneur and he's got a real passion for growing businesses. And in fact, one of his earliest ventures was running a hot dog stand. It was located in the parking lot, in the car park of a hardware store. And during his first year, Sean actually sold over $500,000 worth of hot dogs. He is now the owner of the Newsletter Pro. He's a successful business coach and he helps other companies to scale their success. So, hi, Sean. It's really great to meet you and have you on the call.
Hey, thanks for having me, Richard. I appreciate it.
Okay. So as usual, what we're going to be doing is going through sort of five key questions I want to ask you. We've got a rough limit of about 10 minutes. It's kind of 5 in 10 format, but if we overrun, I'm sure it's going to be for a really good reason. So we'll crack on. The first question I want to ask you is about the Newsletter Pro, and particularly, what was your situation when you first came to set it up, Sean? What was your motivation, or what were your aims in setting up the company?
Yeah, so I owned another company at the time, and I was ready to move on from that. So I was in the process of selling it, and I was really just looking to get back into the marketing game. I had been in the dry cleaning space, coaching, consulting, and then owned some dry cleaners, and so I was looking to go back into the marketing space, which is a space I had played in a few years earlier, and so I was brainstorming, just trying to figure out what do I want to do. And one of the things that really worked for me was print newsletters in the dry cleaning space. We did really well with them. And so I was like, this works, but it's so dang hard to put out every month. Like, I bet if I did this for others, like it would go well. And at the time it was 2011 and all my friends were starting like SEO companies and website development companies and things like that. And so I was like, I've always been a big believer. If everyone else is going left, you should probably go right. And I saw everyone else going left and bailing on direct mail and stuff. And I said, I'm gonna double down on it. And and it's worked out very well for us.
That's fantastic. I kind of think it's a bit of a cliche, but I just know from my own experience working with clients, several times there's been newsletters that have been produced, and it's issue number one always kind of hits the press and actually gets mailed and everything else. And actually, it's the exception that issue number 2 ever gets published. So I can see that there's a real need for the service that you provide. In terms of the problems that you're solving for your clients, how would you sum that up? How does the Newsletter Pro go about solving those problems? How does it actually work?
Yeah. So the product obviously is a newsletter, but no one cares about what the product is, right? To your point, they just care about what the solution is to whatever problem it is they have. And so if someone asks me, if like I'm at a trade show or something, and someone's asked me that question, what I tell them is that we help companies generate more referrals. So that's the first problem we're going to solve, right? We help them decrease churn, so lost customers and cancellation. So we lower that number. And then we help them convert more of their prospects into clients. And so those are kind of the 3 primary problems that a newsletter solves. There's a few secondary issues that it can help with, but by and large, those are going to be where your biggest bang for your buck is if you're going to go out and do a newsletter.
Right. And have you found over the years that it's kind of the services particularly appeal to certain sort of market sectors, or does it really tend to be where you've got a business that's got a number of individual clients, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, so we work with all types of clients. I mean, we of course have niches that we work a lot in. So dental, legal, physical therapy, financial services, a few others that we work a lot in. But I mean, we've also got a guy who owns a funeral home who's been a client of ours for 3 or 4 years now, at least. Mm-hmm. And so we work with a lot of different niches. Does it work better some than others? Yeah, I mean, it does, of course. I think where the difference comes in is how much are your customers worth, right? What is their ability to refer? And do they do repeat business with you? And if you've got a good customer value, they are, it's something that they can give you referrals and they can buy from you more than once, then a lot of times it makes really good sense. And if you're kind of just, if you're a hot dog stand and it's a one-off sale and hopefully they come back, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense at all for you. And so,
Right.
so I think it just depends on your business, but surely if you're in a service-based business, I don't know that I've ran across a service-based business. I take that back. Like if you're like a new home builder, maybe that might be different, but there's very, very few service-based businesses that can't do well with it. And a lot of retail or product-based businesses can, depending on their mix.
Right. So what you actually do then, Sean, it's not just the printing fulfillment. You take the whole job away from the client, so they haven't got to worry about, I mean, presumably content creation, is that part of what you do?
That is, exactly. So what we do is we still want to sound like the client. So what we do is we get on the phone with the client once a month, typically for around 20 minutes. And they have an assigned writer who they're going to work with month in and month out. We call them, we interview them, we ghostwrite the content so it sounds like they wrote it. The client, of course, approves all of that. They approve everything. We have a graphic designer that they work with. They don't actually typically talk to the graphic designer, but they have a graphic designer assigned to their account who matches the newsletter to their brand and makes all the design tweaks that the client wants. And so, where we've got on average around 14 to 15 hours into a newsletter to create one, our client and their team have less than an hour, typically speaking.
Yeah.
And so we take a lot of the heavy lifting. And the only reason we've got it down to 14 or 15 hours is because we literally put out, well over 500,000 of these things a month. And so we're just really, really good at it, so otherwise it would take a lot longer to do. But yeah, that's why we've got it down there. But yeah, we don't want the client to have to worry about this. They need to worry about their business, running it, maybe other marketing activities they need to do, converting sales, something like that. We want to take the heavy lifting off.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream service. Kind of, invest less than an hour of your time each month, and you're going to have a top quality newsletter going out, month in, month out to your ideal prospects, your clients, or whatever. That looks like a fantastic return on time, at least, and I'm sure it can be very, very cost effective. So sounds good. So in terms of your own business, and I mentioned early on the experience with the hot dog business, and I know you've been involved in various other businesses, what would you say is that the most important thing that you've done? It was just sticking with the Newsletter Pro, where you've obviously seen quite dramatic growth, Sean. What would you say is the single most important thing you've done to grow that business?
The single most important thing, that's a good question. So there's been a lot of really good things, but I think for us, it's been our follow-up. So, and I'll tell you why. That's not the sexiest thing. I've got definitely things that are more sexy that we've done that we could talk about. But if you're actually looking at what really, rubber that meets the road, right, is that follow-up. Last year, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.4 million in new revenue into our business from leads that had been on our list for 12 months or greater before they purchased the core product. And so we're really, really good at providing lots of value. When people, say, go get my book or something like that from the website, they'll get that. But then our goal is to provide crazy good value to help you grow your business. And then hopefully, obviously you'll maybe want to let us help you as well too. But we know the majority of people won't. We understand that. But still our mission is to just go out there, give crazy good advice, value, help people grow. And then if it makes sense for them, we want to help them out. And so not the sexiest thing, but when you think about that year after year, you start compounding all those people who are buying, who would have forgotten all about us had we not had good follow-up and good content. It really starts to add up pretty rapidly. And
yeah.
So from a growth standpoint, I'd say that's
fantastic. That's a real lesson there. You say it may not be sexy, but it's highly profitable. And I think, most entrepreneurs don't worry that it's sexy or not. It's the bottom line that they're driven by in most instances. And so, I think there's a real lesson there. That's fantastic. In terms of other advice that you've received from either people you've met in business or even in personal life, or any business mentors or people who inspire you, is there anything there, Sean, that you would pass on to other people? Any points where you thought, that's a real learning point, or it's a really valuable statement, or that I can live by, or that you can embody in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one that came right to mind when you said that. And so I've got about 60 some odd employees right now. So we've got a lot of people that work here in our building. And so one of the things that we've been successful at is having a good company culture. We're in Boise, Idaho, in the U.S., and we've been voted one of the best places to work in Idaho the last 3 years in a row. Wow. Hopefully, this will be our 4th year. And so what I want to share with you is something that I was taught, which was that people think about how they take care of clients incorrectly, right? And here's what it is, right? It's when people say the customer's always right, they always start there. Like, customer's always right, no, that's actually the wrong place to start. See, what you want to do is first you want to make sure you have happy employees. See, because happy employees, okay, plus happy customers, or, make happy customers, right, equals profitable shareholders, right? So if you have happy employees, they then take care of your customers and make your customers happy. That then equals more profit for you. And too many businesses start with the idea that we either want to make the shareholders rich, right? Or we want to take care of customers, or the most important thing, and they come first. And listen, I'm not suggesting you don't take care of your customers. We go above and beyond for our customers. I've got literally hundreds of testimonials, unsolicited, from customers saying, hey, I really appreciate this or that or the other thing or whatever. Sure. But if it starts because I have a great team, right? And as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we overlook that. We think it's all about the customer. It's all about the dollar in our bank account. But instead, it's really should start with taking care of your employees, your team. So if you can take care of them and make them happy, they will make the customers happy. And in turn, I promise you will be happy as a shareholder. So that would be my piece of advice.
I think that's great. I got to say, I've never really kind of taken that on board, but I can see exactly what you're saying, Sean, because if your employees are not happy, you can't really expect them to deliver fantastic customer service, because their mind is elsewhere. They've got a grudge or whatever. Their mind isn't on the job. If they're delighted and happy with their environment and their colleagues, it's a natural thing for them to want to serve and to do the best by the customers. And I can see exactly what you're saying, where, that's got to come first, and everything else flows from that, doesn't it?
It does. And when you think about what all of us small business owners are up against, we're basically up against Amazon. We're being held to the standard of customer service that Amazon provides, which is very, very high right now. Whether it'll stay that way forever or not, maybe another story. Right. But Jeff Bezos is all about the customer, right? And so the customer experience is very, very high. And the only way we're going to stand out, because look, you and I, we can't compete on price against Amazon, let's say, right? And I know Amazon's not in the newsletter business, but man, I guess they probably could be if they wanted to, right? But they could come in and they could just, they have so much money and so much bandwidth, they could just come in and destroy any of us at any point in time that they wanted to, right? Because they could just take losses until we couldn't afford to be in business anymore. And so the only thing, now they're not going to typically do that to us small business owners, but the only thing we've got that makes us different than our competitors is how we take care of our customers, the customer experience. But again, I go back to your point. If your employees aren't happy, if your employee's miserable and they hate their job, that comes across that comes across to the customer. And then the customer doesn't get a good experience. They're not happy. And in turn, they don't buy again. And now all of a sudden, no one's making any money. And, pretty much any of us can see this in action, is just walk into a government office, right? Go into a government office that you got to get service, go to the IRS, right? Or go to, wherever. And I'm not trying to, those are great people, but the government doesn't really care so much about the employee experience. And you can tell by the level of service that we all receive when we have to go into the Department of Motor Vehicles or somewhere like that. It's just not there. The service isn't there. And it's partially because government doesn't care about the employees. No.
I mean, you can tell even on the phone, somebody's not happy in their job. You just tell in the tone of their voice, if they are conversely happy and positive and whatever, that comes across equally as well. So, I think it's something you can't actually fake. So that's fantastic. Really interesting perspective. What I'm thinking here is for people listening to this episode, if they are keen to find out more about the Newsletter Pro, about the services you offer, about the role that print newsletter can play, in the digital age when we all kind of live in our inbox, my mantra with some of my clients is very much that printed communications has even more impact now than it ever did, because it's so unusual. So I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit of interest. Have you got any resources or anything that you can direct listeners to find out a bit more?
Yeah. So I wrote a book. I've written a couple, but I wrote a book a little while back on newsletter marketing. There's a lot of good marketing lessons in the book that you can apply even if you're not sure newsletters are right for you.
Right.
And the best thing to do is to text in for that, okay? It's a text opt-in. So you're going to text the word podcast to 208-269-9111. That's 208-269-9111. Now, if you're one of our international friends, so you're not in the US and you'd rather go to a website, you can go to newsletterpro.com/free book. There'll be a button that you got to click that says international. And when you do that, you'll get a digital version of the book and all the audios. And there's a bunch of stuff that we give in what we call a shock and awe package. So if you're in the US, you can text 208-269-9111, the word podcast, and we'll get a little information from you and send you a physical book. And if you're one of our international friends, go to newsletterpro.com/free book and just click the international button, and we will get you all the same stuff. It'll just be digitally delivered.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you very much, Sean. I think what you're just hinting at there, I think that's a really worthwhile offer to get hold of, because you're going to learn about newsletters, you're going to learn about marketing, but it's kind of you over delivering. It's you in action, isn't it? You talked earlier about the fact that your follow-up and what you do is highly profitable. It's because it works. And I think anybody that signs up to that are going to actually see that in action. So I think there's a double advantage there for people to take up your offer. So thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate your generosity, and I appreciate the time you spent with us today to let us know a little bit more about the Newsletter Pro and particularly your approach to running that business and other advice that you've given us. So it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll speak soon, I hope.